Well, hey, small groups. I was excited to be out at Windsor here this weekend, and we talked about Ephesians chapter 6. We're just about rounding the corner of finishing this series up, and chapter 6 is kind of unique because we got into the whole armor of God and spiritual warfare. And one of the questions that I asked in the message was, what were you taught about spiritual warfare? Like when you thought of that phrase, what things came to mind? Now, you may have no experience for it at all or no reference. Maybe you just didn't experience that in your church tradition or didn't even grow up in church, but maybe you did. Maybe you had experiences that when you hear that, you have like a hesitancy or maybe an excitement. So maybe talk about in your group, what does that look like for you? And even as you listen to this message, anything's triggered or what's been your experience with that? And then secondly is another element that we talked about was the need for unity among this church. And then we sort of universalized that and said, really, that's the case for every church, is there's always the danger of discord, of disharmony happening within a church community, especially when the community is diverse. That could be racial, it could be socioeconomic. There could be so many different boundaries which easily cause division. But maybe you can think of some others. And it might be interesting to say, what do you think are the greatest dangers to unity among the church? And you might say among our church or among the church in a broader sense. And then thirdly, this is something that I thought was interesting. I didn't bring this up in the message, but the church leader, John Stott, he just passed away a few years ago, he gave these examples. He said, the three ways that Jesus' church experiences Satan's malicious activities are threefold. One, we experience it, there's a physical attack. By that, he means persecution. Two, there's an intellectual attack, and that means deception. And then thirdly, there's a moral attack, and that's corruption. So persecution, which is physical, deception, which is intellectual, and corruption, which is moral. And I think it'd be interesting for you to throw out, you might even, if you feel really comfortable just addressing yourself personally, saying, which one of these would pose the greatest threat to me at this particular moment in my life? Or again, maybe you want to kind of make it a little more general and say, which of these three do I think poses the greatest threat to maybe the American church or to the global church? And it might differ based on what church we're talking about, where they are. So I hope these are just a couple good questions to kind of prime the pump, to get the discussion going. But again, thanks for gathering as you do, or maybe you're even just doing this as an individual study, but I hope that this really allows you to drill down, to dig deeper into Ephesians chapter 6 and any of the related texts that we went to this weekend. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for being Timberline, and see you guys next week.